It really gives me no pleasure to be right about such things, but being able to predict accurately this completely manufactured quote-unquote second wave, as I did in a previous video entitled A Tale of Two Viruses, does not take a crystal ball and a galaxy brain IQ. When you see this psychological operation for what it really is, a power move by globalist financial elites, it's actually quite easy to predict how this would happen and will continue to play out. The public's response to this contrived crisis is as baffling as it is tiresomely predictable. Even as the facts come out that show that COVID-19 is hardly the death sentence they would want us to believe it is, I see people everywhere wearing masks alone while driving in their cars, while outside on hiking trails, parents putting masks on kids while they play in parks. People are still following the lead of the mainstream media and the so-called experts and are shaming people into wearing a mask, if only for quote-unquote setting a good example. Even the President of the United States. It has become fascinating to me to see how a virus with a 99+% survival rate could possibly have such bizarre ramifications on people's behavior, and it would be laughable if the consequences of this behavior weren't so threatening to our autonomy as individuals and our well-being as a society. Yes, it's the perfect response for Generation Virtue Signal. They get the dopamine hit of self-righteous indignation by cowering in fear at home, thinking they are doing something heroic and meaningful with their lives. They see it as a sacrifice to stay at home indefinitely, collecting unemployment checks in order to so selflessly give the world the promise of a COVID-free future. It's never been a better time to be a complete loser and to pass your inaction and abolition off as something moral and virtuous. They project their feelings of inferiority onto the rest of us by telling us how we should live our lives and by calling us names like crazy and conspiracy theorists if we so much as even question the veracity of the prevailing narrative. And now that this has become much more about politics than public health, they've decided that if you're pro-Trump, you're anti-mask, thus anti-science, and this must mean that you're a Nazi KKK white supremacist who wants to kill grandmothers and the poor oppressed people of color. They've even gone so far as to suggest that the reason men, mostly white men, are reluctant to kowtow to the narrative is because they are just exhibiting white fragility and toxic masculinity. These are the people that on one hand operated under the misguided notion that thousands upon thousands rioting across the country within inches of each other did not cause an increase in new cases, but completely lost their minds when only a few weeks before white people protested lockdown orders in Michigan. So now that Dr. Fauci, who has been wrong on so many counts during the course of this mass psychosis, tells us that we could see 100,000 new cases per day, we are shutting down beaches for the 4th of July and we're rescinding reopening in states like Texas, Florida, and Arizona. All states that, mind you, have a great significance for the upcoming elections in November. And no one seems to be taking into account the death toll that remains largely unchanged, and no one seeks out any new information from doctors other than those who have been granted the stamp of approval by the mainstream media, and no one questions why we are still pretending that these people are even capable of telling us the truth. We just hear the same inane nonsense. It's just a mask, bro. You put pants on, why not a face mask? You got a warped idea of freedom, and it's killing people. And look at all the cool, stylish people in Hollywood who are being so virtuous and responsible. You want to be like them, don't you? You want to be accepted and socially validated, don't you? This is all for the best. This is for the greater good. We stand with Dr. Fauci. You don't want to be a Karen, do you? What if surgeons no longer wear masks in surgery, bro? You should be concerned. People are dying. The worst is yet to come.
Stay at home on the 4th. It's time for new traditions. Do it for the generation that sacrificed everything to win World War II. My grandmother was in an extermination camp for 4 years, so you could wear a mask for 15 minutes at Walmart, you science-denying Nazi. You can't argue with science, bro. The vaccine is coming. Be a real man. And remember, we're all in this together.